Welcome back to the Extra Point. We are joined with Jacob. How are you doing today, Jacob?
I'm feeling great. Woke up today at 3 o'clock.
Very good.
Things are going good.
That is great to hear. I'm glad you got a lot of sleep.
You're very
Probably
lazy.
went to bed at like fucking 7 p.m. or 7 a.m., but it's all right. Here we are. We're going to talk about the Christian McCaffrey deal. Groundbreaking in the world of sports.
It's all
He
like
is
that.
the highest paid running back in NFL history, and it is 2020, and this is a white guy. Who would have fucking thought? Am I right? I'm right.
It's a good point.
White guy is the highest paid running back in the NFL. That's shocking to me.
Good point.
So we'll be talking about that deal along with ranking our top 5 running backs in the NFL, going off of last year, going off of this year, just in general, best running backs in the NFL right now. We'll each be giving our list and debating on it. So without further ado, Jacob, Cardinal fan, you have Kenyon Drake. What do you think about this McCaffrey deal?
Well, I got to tell you, I was surprised. I was very surprised when I heard about this. I didn't even think the Panthers had it in them. I didn't think they had the money for it. I don't even know how they were able to pull this off, honestly.
Well, I can go ahead and tell you there, they don't have the money for
They
this.
officially don't have money for anything else after that.
This year, they have zero money. I didn't even think they had enough money. I don't think he's probably going to get paid a lot this coming year. It's the next year he's going to get paid. So I've said it in the past, the dead cap space that the Panthers have is fucking ridiculous, and next year they're going to be loaded.
Yeah.
This year, they have fucking nothing. So, yeah, it surprised me too, considering he has another year left on his contract. So he's employed with the Panthers to 2025. It's fucking crazy. And there's talks about him getting traded, as we discussed with Canyon earlier. I don't see that happening. I saw it could have happened before this deal, but now that it's solidified, I don't think he's getting traded. What do you think about it all, Nick?
Well, for one, if they were to trade him, then we can officially call it a rebuild because that is the sole offense right now.
Yeah.
Is that person alone. One man literally runs and receives that offense.
Well, he can throw too. So
yeah, you're damn right. Yeah.
Emergency quarterback.
I texted you after the news came out, and I was like, they could have added like 2 or 3, like, because unless he gets hurt, let's hope he doesn't get hurt. He's what, 23 years old?
Yep.
He'll still be 28 years old. So he could be 29, whatever it is. 5 years from now, I don't know when his birthday is or anything, but he'll still be less than 30 years old. He can still be a prime running back. They should have went at least another 2 years. Should have gone 6 years. That's what I think. A solid 6 year. On top of this one, that's 7. That'd take him to 30. I think that's what they should have done.
Well, you know how I don't like injuries, and you can't predict injuries. And for running backs, they get injured a lot. So, and not to mention, the older a running back gets, every year counts. I think like by 28, they're starting to see a downfall. I'm not 100% sure on the analytics behind that, but.
Well, explain Barry Sanders. Look, this is like a one of a kind. Okay, we can compare him to Barry Sanders in the next few years, I guarantee.
Yeah. He retired early, too.
He retired at like 29, 30. He led the league in rushing and then split. Assuming he doesn't do that or he doesn't get hurt, another couple of years wouldn't have been a big deal. So now they risk, they got, the way I see it, they got 5 years to get back to championship level, because if he goes after that contract, that's it. It's over.
So, Jacob, do you like the deal?
I mean, that much money for 4 years? I'm not sure.
I said.
Well, I mean, you got to look at it in this way. So, a lot of people were dogging on the deal just because you look in the past. Le'Veon Bell got paid a fuck ton of money. Todd Gurley got paid a fuck ton. Ezekiel Elliott just got paid the biggest contract before McCaffrey, and everybody was like, holy shit, these running backs are going to make it till 3 years of their 5-year contract that they just signed and be complete shit. McCaffrey doesn't even have to run the ball as a running back, and he could still be successful in this league. he could be one of the best. He could be one of the best slot receivers in the NFL as a running back on a depth chart.
Probably.
He doesn't have to run the ball in a running back position to be successful. He could be a fucking receiver. So you're paying a guy wide receiver salary to play two positions. That's the way I look at it. It makes sense to me, considering you have the best slot receiver and best running back in the NFL on your combined on your team.
So, Jacob, you have a problem with how much he's getting paid?
Yeah, because, I mean, honestly, I feel like the Panthers are in that rebuild stage. And, yeah, Christian McCaffrey is the sole offense there. He's probably the only good player on the whole team. And, yeah, they got to keep him, but like Hunter said, if one thing goes wrong, he gets injured one time, it's over. I mean, we've seen that with countless other players before. They get paid these huge contracts, they get injured, and then it's just downhill from there.
Right, but doesn't that apply to any player that's ever got a decent contract ever?
I mean, yeah, but this is like a huge. This is huge.
Yeah. And I can see where he's coming from. It's a running back. It's just running backs are a fucking risk. I mean, I get it. But then again, it's McCaffrey, and he could play two positions. Shit, he could probably play fucking quarterback. I wouldn't doubt it.
Probably could. He's probably got a damn cannon, 65-yard bombs.
Probably. So, Nick, do you like the deal in general for the Panthers moving forward?
For the Panthers, it's great for the next 5 years. It wasn't a big deal that they didn't get the extra couple years. If I could have made an improvement, that's what I'd have worked on as another 2 years maybe on top of it. But it's a good deal because, I mean, he's the team now. Cam's gone, Kuechly's gone, Olsen's gone. McCaffrey is going to be the face of Charlotte, basically. That's what it's going to be. So
let's just pray he doesn't get hurt. I'm worried. All right, we're going to move on to ranking our top 5 running backs in the NFL. Jacob, let's hear your number 1 running back, and it should be all of ours. Go right ahead.
Obviously, Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey.
And we just fucking talked about it. He's the whole entire offense. He is the bomb, the man. Fucking Christian McCaffrey, best running back in football. Number 2, Jacob. Number 2, and back it up with some facts. Why you think he's number 2?
I'm going to have to go with Derrick Henry, number 2.
All right.
Simply for the reason he is probably the most dominant running back in the NFL. When I see him run, I see a freight train. I see an absolute monster. Probably the best stiff arm I've ever seen. Let me tell you, I've never seen a more better arm on a man in my life.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
That's interesting. On a running back, you mean, right? Because there's some big guys out there.
Right.
Okay. Well, I like Derrick Henry, and he is my number 3, but my number 2 is going to be the old Saquon Barkley. He got hurt last year for 3 or 4 games, but he's still a fucking beast. We forgot what he did his rookie year, dominated the NFL, and he's still a dominant running back. He's sitting out here doing McCaffrey-like juke spins with a horrid offensive line, just like Christian McCaffrey's. But he's also got some fucking strength on him. He is considered a power back just because he is that fucking strong. He can run you over. He can juke you out. He is a once-in-a-lifetime athlete. And I'm going to put him at number 2 right behind McCaffrey, and they are neck and neck, let me tell you.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Hunter. You can almost flip a coin. We've talked about it before. I mean, he's so good. And he can just do it all. Him and McCaffrey are basically the same. They're just different people. I mean, he's a little bit bigger, but him and McCaffrey have the same ability to break tackles, both physically or they can finesse and juke someone out. They both have breakaway speed. They both receive the ball well. I think McCaffrey's first because he has, a little more receiving stats. Yep. But other than that, I mean, it's a close second for Saquon on my list.
All right, so Jacob, what's your third best running back? Let's hear it.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley, like you guys said.
Mm-hmm.
He did have a good year last year. This year did get injured, but, I mean, he was still doing good. His stats are solid, so I guess I'll put him at 3.
All right. Yeah. You're number 2. I'm going to put it my number 3, like I just said earlier. Derrick Henry. You hit it. Fucking nail on the head is what the saying is. I don't know if it is, but whatever. We're going to go with it. Yeah, he's a power back. I don't know about being the best biceps I've ever seen, but he is a true fucking power back. Runs you over 5.1 yards a carry, 300 attempts. Granted, he does have the best offensive line in football, or he does
Bingo.
now. Last year, he had the second best behind
And the
Ezekiel
year
Elliott.
before that, he had the
But
first best.
right, but I I'm still going to put him at number 3 just because he is that dominant. This man gets hit at the 1 yard line or at the line of scrimmage every single fucking down, and he still averages 5 yards after contact. The only thing I don't like about him, he had 5 fumbles last year, which is a relatively good bit. So, but he's that guy, and I'm going to put him at number 3. What about you, Nicholas?
Well, Derrick Henry's not on my top 5. Sincerest apologies, but the guy literally, and this is every single time. Yeah, he gets big runs for 70 yards or whatever, 90 yards, and breaks tackles in open field, and he's powerful. But dude, there's a hole every single time he touches the football. I mean, an average Joe on him. There's high school running backs that can honestly get 4 yards a carry on the Titans. Let's be honest. I mean, there's a hole every time. With that offensive line, they are far and away the best ranked offensive line is far-fetched to me. I think they rank number 1 in run because they are. But, yeah, to me, he's got such a good offensive line, it's hard not to be good. So he's not even in my top 5. I mean, he's solid, but he's not my top 5. You guys both forgot about Alvin Kamara for some reason, who had an off year. Still had several touchdowns, both receiving and rushing, and had over 1,000 yards. He probably pushed 1,500 or so all-purpose yards, if not more than that. So Alvin Kamara is going to come back this year. Latavius Murray, that show's over, man. It's going to be the Kamara show again, and he's going to be back on like an all-pro level with McCaffrey and Saquon like he was the year before. So he's number 3.
I don't like with Alvin Kamara. He's good with fantasy. He's good in a receiving back position, but I feel you can't utilize him in as many schemes as you can with Saquon, Chris McCaffrey, Derrick Henry. Probably him and Derrick Henry's probably the same. Derrick Henry is only used in a power run West Coast scheme, and Alvin Kamara is a spread type offense with an elusive running back position. I mean, I don't know. I would rather take Derrick Henry over Alvin Kamara, honestly. I mean, he's a good running back. He can receive the ball too, but I don't know. I like Derrick Henry.
You must not watch those Panthers Saints games, man, because this guy is elusive in the backfield now.
They're also
He's weak.
They're also running a 3-4, and they have the worst run defense in the NFL.
I'm just saying, y'all ain't watching this Alvin Kamara play or something, dude. The guy's a monster. I don't know why y'all are.
Well, he's weak as shit too. I mean, he's a good running back.
He's not weak.
He's also
he's
small.
Not ripped, but he's not weak.
He's small. He don't break tackles.
He does.
He jukes the shit out of them, but he doesn't break any.
He sure as hell does. Y'all ain't watching this man play.
I don't see it. I watch him play 2 times a year, and I
see that makes
results. Him and Latavius. Oh my God, it's a fuck show when they play in Carolina.
Anyway,
let's move
Kamara's
on
my
to
3rd, and I thought it was a pretty easy choice.
It's a good 4th. Or 3rd. I'll give you that. Jacob, who's your 4th running back?
Well, going off of what I just said with the last pick, I'm gonna have to go with Dalvin Cook from the Vikings.
Okay.
That man is insane, just like Derrick Henry. I'd say they're very similar, but when I see Dalvin Cook run, it's just as dominant and explosive. It's insane.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, Dalvin Cook's not in my top 5, but I see what you're saying when it comes to elusiveness and explosiveness. But my 4th running back is going to be Nick Chubb, second rushing yards last season. I mean, granted, we saw how big of a failure that offense was and that coaching staff was.
Wasn't his fault.
Whose?
It wasn't Nick Chubb's
Oh
fault,
no,
bro.
no. It was the coach. It was all the coach. So Nick Chubb was that offense, though. Let's be real. Fucking shit. I can't talk. What's his name? Quarterback. Holy fuck. Baker
Baker
Mayfield
Mayfield.
was a fucking failure. I don't blame it on him. Like I said, I blame it on the offensive coordinator and the head coach. But when it came to running the ball, it was all Nick Chubb. When it came to offense in general, it was all Nick Chubb with an average offensive line. I mean, he is like Dalvin Cook. He's like Saquon Barkley, not as good, but he is a all-around good back. I mean, he can do it all. Even receiving the ball, he's good. He's a check down guy too. I mean, I would put Nick Chubb at number 4, right behind Derrick Henry. And I mean, you can see it. Average offensive line, second in rushing yards. I'm at number 4. What about you, Nick?
Number 4 for me, I'm going Chris Carson from the Seahawks. God, they had they're 1, 2, and 3 running backs who were all having good seasons last year. All 3 go down. Was that right? In like consecutive weeks. So that sucks, but they've been the number 1 rushing team the last 3 seasons. Yeah. Maybe last year was 4. I don't know. 3 or 4 seasons in a row after the departure of Marshawn Lynch, led by Chris Carson. The guy is you talk about it. He reminds me of Nick Chubb. He really does. He doesn't receive the ball all that well, but they don't really have a bunch of, that's not that type of scheme. They don't have a receiving back on their roster. Pete Carroll never has, never will. He is a true power back. He's really explosive. And he's the guy that literally can get 40 carries a game and what will be a 17-game season now and not miss a beat. Right. So I love the way he runs football. I love watching Seahawks so I can watch Chris Carson. He's honestly a monster. And let's take in mind, they don't have the best offensive line. If it weren't for Russell Wilson as their quarterback, they'd probably lead the league in sacks given up, to be honest with you. So they don't have a great offensive line, and he does some damn work. And he takes the load off one of the best quarterbacks in football and allows him to be better. So he is a great running back. I think he's underrated, and he's in my top 5.
I do like that underrated pick. That was a really good pick, and you nailed it. The only thing I don't like about Chris Carson last year, and it was just last year thing, he did struggle holding on to the football. I just talked about Derrick Henry.
He did.
Fumbling it 5 times. He fumbled at 6. But it is a good pick, and you're right about the offensive rushing as a team the past couple of years because they've killed it.
Wasn't he injured, though?
5. I think he did get injured.
He got injured late in the season. And the same game, his backup got injured. And then the next game, the third string got injured. And that pretty much ended that whole playoff run.
Yeah. All right. Who is your number 5, Jacob?
All right. So some people might think that I'm being a little biased here. All right. I can understand that. But I just want to tell you all a story about the guy that I'm choosing. It's Kenyon Drake. Okay. All right. So let me tell you the story. All right. Arizona Cardinals, about midway through the season, lose David Johnson, they lose Chase Edmonds, and they need a running back, right? So the Cardinals turn to this guy named Kenyon Drake, all right? Terrible in Miami. He was probably the only good thing in Miami, but he wasn't doing too hot down there. He felt underutilized. Well, the Cardinals pick him up, and let me tell you, he has about a day, maybe a day and a half to train and learn the playbook and get into the rhythm of the Cardinals scheme, right? He comes in against the 49ers, gets 2 touchdowns, and I want to say it was about 200 yards that game. Comes in with just a day and a half, pops off. And then not to mention, through the whole rest of the season, he gets very close to 1,000 yards. I think he finished the season with 600, maybe 800 yards.
643.
Yeah, that's just insane for only playing about 5 games. Yeah. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, out of the top 10 running backs, actually, if I'm looking through this list, out of all the running backs, not counting Lamar Jackson, he got the highest average per run at 5.2. So, yeah. Well, I do like Kenyon Drake. I do like that selection. I wouldn't put him in my top 5 just because it was so late in the year he finally shined, even though he has the ability to be top 5. I know I drafted him for my fantasy team, and I wanted to trade him from week 1 all the way to the fucking right before the playoffs just because I had him on my bench the whole year. He never did anything in Miami. But thank God I didn't because of him, I went to the playoffs and went on like a 5-game win streak and solidified my wild card position and lost. So
he's like a wild card.
He is. He's a good running back. I don't mind him. He was good in Miami. They just never fucking used him. And my fantasy team showed I can fucking prove it to you. But I do like the Kenyon Drake. I would not put him in my top 5 just because I said it was so late in the season. Who I have at my number 5 is a rookie in Josh Jacobs. This running back is a fucking star. He gets 242 attempts last year, 60 behind Nick Chubb, 60 behind Derrick Henry, 40 behind Christian McCaffrey, 60 behind Ezekiel Elliott, 30 behind Chris Carson, and he's still third in rushing, averaging 4.8 yards a carry. He only got 7 touchdowns because they never fucking used him on the goal line. And do the Raiders have a good offensive line last year? Hell to the fucking no. Derek Carr getting sacked 50+ fucking times in a damn season for 2 seasons in a row. This year they finally have a good offensive line, finally. And Josh Jacobs is coming back as a sophomore. I'm telling you, with this new rejuvenated offensive line, and I'm pretty sure they're going to change up the play style with Marcus Mariota and Derek Carr, working a lot with Derek Carr in the offseason. Josh Jacobs is coming back, a brand new running back, and he's going to be a fucking beast. Watch it.
That's solid. That's
underrated pick.
The numbers from his rookie year pretty much speak for themselves.
Should have been rookie of the year, but whatever.
Definitely not.
Slow down. Anyway, my top 5 is another guy that kind of came out of nowhere last year. Actually, the tail end of the previous season, he got some attention. But Aaron Jones was a fucking monster last year. He's very similar to Kamara. I don't care how weak he is. We don't all love we don't all love the guys with the big arms, Jacob. But Aaron Jones is a great receiving back. I'm pretty sure he was one of the top players in overall touchdowns behind Chris McCaffrey, I think.
I think he led.
Did he end up past McCaffrey?
Pretty sure he did, yeah.
That speaks for himself. The guys, was it Cowboys, right? Meeting in Dallas, 4 or 5 touchdowns. I mean, that's 2 or 3 receiving, 2 or 3 rushing. He's explosive. He's fast. He's just like Kamara to me, but he's even a better receiver. I mean, this guy is really good. And I bet he'll be another all-pro level again next year, assuming, we'll see. We'll see how Aaron's doing. We'll talk about this another time, but I got a prediction for Aaron Rodgers that a lot of people won't like. But yeah, Aaron Jones is underrated, and he is my top 5. That was hard though. There's a lot of good top 5s. I don't think Kenyon Drake's top 5. To be honest, Jacob. Josh Jacobs, to the numbers from last year, a pretty respectable top 5.
It's my boy.
Oh, come on.
That's my boy.
Are you really saying Josh Jacobs is better than Kenyon Drake?
How long is Kenyon? Yes. Look, how long? He is.
Jacob.
Oh, come on. And you want to talk about offensive lines? We're in top 3 offensive line, maybe number 1. And he did that.
You mean worst offensive lines?
Yeah, top number 1 worst offensive line.
You're making it the other way around.
I mean, yes, Christian McCaffrey. So the Panthers, the Giants with Saquon, the Raiders with Josh Jacobs, Seattle with Chris Carson, and yeah, the Cardinals. They all have the worst offensive lines in football by fucking far. Them 5 right there.
Yeah.
So, and granted, every single fucking team with a bad offensive line has the best running back. So yeah, Kenyon Drake, I'd put him in a top 10. I don't think he's better than Josh Jacobs.
Maybe.
Oh, come on.
I don't.
Josh Jacobs is young. He's so young.
Exactly. And he got, 1,300 yards and almost 5 yards per carry?
Josh Jacobs, 4.8 a carry, granted, and he had 60 less attempts than the first 2 running backs and still had 1,150 yards. The only thing I don't like about him was the touchdowns, and that's because they never fucking ran it in the red zone, ever.
Okay, I thought you about it. I was about to say, John Gruden, is a tough-nosed coach. He's always running the ball, which is something Cliff Kingsbury doesn't do.
Well,
Look,
the last 4
your
games.
coach is probably the worst in football, just like overall, not like NFL, college, high school, junior high, youth football league. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury is the worst coach
I've ever seen
in football of
Oh,
ever.
okay.
Maybe not.
We'll see what
coach,
happens when he gets
I would
D-Hop,
say
which he did.
play caller. He might as well be a Freddie Kitchens when it comes to play calling.
Oh,
the
come
disrespect.
on.
I said it. I
on
said it. Cliff Kingsbury, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, but you need to step your shit up when it comes to
Oh
play
my
calling
God.
because I watched a lot of games and I was pissed 80% of the time. I mean, it was fucking.
You probably watched the start of the season. That's
I
it.
had Kenyon Drake and I had fucking Kyler Murray on my football team, and I was so upset every fucking game, besides like the last 3, because Kenyon Drake saved my ass. Not Kyler Murray, because they never fucking threw the ball, or if they did, he had 40 attempts for 2.5 yards a fucking throw, an attempt. It's first and 10, second and 8, third and 6, punt. That was every damn series for the Cardinals. Annoyed the shit out of me.
All right, well, you want to talk about this year, but how about we talk about next year, though, the excitement, the things we can build on for next year, because I feel like we're really going to explode next year.
It's
Cliff
exciting.
Kingsbury now is D-Hop. I mean, we can do so much more.
I'm sure he won't use D-Hop correctly, just like he didn't use his whole fucking offense correctly. So great roster.
We are literally drafting linemen.
Great roster, good offense. Horrible fucking play caller. Oh my God. I'm not even kidding. But it's all right. We'll see how it pans out. Running backs, good lists on all 3 point of views. Drop your top 5 running list in the comments below. And if you want to be on the show, let us know. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, whatever you want to do, message us. Nick, you got anything?
No, I just want to thank Jacob for coming on, and thank Canyon for coming on earlier. It's always a pleasure, Jacob. We really enjoy your stories are tremendous. I loved the story about Kenyon Drake. It was great.
It's a myth, according to some.
It's a myth.
Well, Arizona's got a good thing cooking. It is a Steve Keim prime time kind of season for him.